To start modeling the MEP items, when we first open Revit, we will click on New so that we can select a certain template file and start modeling based on that template. Template is actually a file which includes some primary settings, and I can use that template to work on my modeling. Now, it is possible that I might want to make some minor changes onto that template along the way. Now, I want to find and load the template that I have in mind. I will click on Browse, and don't forget that for the MEP items, you can either use the English Imperials, which has different groups of units. For example, it has inch, foot, and all the other imperial units. Or, for example, you can go back and go into the English folder, and you can use some metric templates, which has a different set of units. For example, it has millimeter, meter, centimeter, and things like that. So for now, we will be using the metric templates, and when we go further, when we are talking about the plumbing and pipes, I will also introduce the imperial templates as well. Actually, the templates that are for MEP, which we can see right here, is called Mechanical Default Metric. It's actually a template that contains the required settings for the pipes and the canals. We also have another template called Plumbing. This template contains the properties necessary for the pipes. So we will be using this template for the wastewater vent and irrigation. Now, not only those, we also have another template called UK Pipe Template. And this one actually includes just some properties for the pipes. So these are all for the mechanical items. As for the electricals, which we will talk about later, we have another template called Electrical Default Metric, which is actually used for drawing cable trays and conductivity. And we also have another template called System Default Metric, which includes both the settings for the mechanicals and the electrical. So depending on the project on which I am working, I can use any of these templates that I need to start my work. So for now, I will be using Mechanical Default Metric for my project. I'm gonna select it and then click on Open. After I do that, I can see the name of the selected template over here. And then for Create New, I will select Project because I'm trying to start working on a project. And if I select Project Template, I will only be able to change my template. You see, in Revit we can have two different suffixes or formats, which I can also see RTE here. RTE is the format for Revit template, and once I turn this template to a project, it will be saved as an RVT or Revit file. So for the files that have RTE, we have some limitations. We can only do so much. For example, I can't turn the files with the format RTE into links. We're going to talk about what linking looks like later on. Okay, now let's go back. We don't want to make any further changes to our template, and we're just trying to make it a project, as in we want to make RTE into RVT. So we will select Project and click OK. Depending on the properties and the power of my system, the file may open quickly or slowly. So we just have to wait for as long as it takes to see this screen right here. But first, let's become a little bit familiar with this whole screen, and then we will get to drawing our mechanical items. So we will start off by talking about the ribbons or the tabs. We have some tabs up here: File, Architecture, Structure, and so on and so forth to the end. Now, if I click on each of these tabs, we will see a set of options which is also called ribbon. All of the tools that are related to each tab will be shown in its ribbon. For example, I'm gonna click on Architecture, which is actually the tools that are required for drawing mechanical items. When I do that, I can see the tools for drawing mechanical items. For example, you see wall, door, window, and other items. Now, when we click on Structure, I will be able to see the tools that are needed for drawing the structural items. Things like beam, column, or the truss, and some other items. We also have another tab which includes all of the facility items, both mechanical and electrical, and they all go into systems. If you recall, previously we have said that the template which includes these settings for the mechanicals and the electricals is called systems. So Revit recognizes systems as both the mechanical and the electrical items. In the ribbon section, all of the tools have been grouped. For example, as you can see right here, I have this HVAC group. You can see the name of it down here, and they've been separated by this line. You can see HVAC, mechanical, plumbing and piping, or for example, this one, electrical. These are all called panels. So I can say that the Systems tab and the HVAC panel and the Duct command or tool. This is how we can say to address some things. We also have some other panels as well, and we will become familiar with them in order as we go further in the modeling. Down here we have a bar, which by default looks green if nothing has been selected. So if I select a tool or actually a command, for example in the Systems tab, I'm going to click on the Duct command, and then we can see that its color changes from gray to green. And not only that, but also some new items have been added to it. So we call this bar the Options bar, and depending on which command I am selecting, the options and items in here will be changed. There goes the Duct command. For example, I'm going to go to the Systems tab and click on Pipes, for example. As you can see, the options changed. For example, we see the diameter here. Or we could go to the Systems tab again and click on Cable Tray command, and then we will see the width and height of the cable tray. So depending on which tool or command I will be selecting, the options and items of this bar will be changed so that we could use and change during the drawing. To cancel each command that has been activated, I could just press the Escape key on keyboard. As soon as I press the Escape key, as you just saw, the command has been canceled and the bar went back to gray. So there goes one thing. We also have a tab called Modify. As you can see, this one is called Modify, and as soon as I click on it, some new tools will be shown here for me up to the Create panel. So depending on which tool or command you will be selecting and using, the name of this tab will be changed. For example, I'm going to click on the Duct shortcut, and we will also be talking about the shortcuts later on. And then we will see that besides the Create panel, a new panel will be added called Placement Tools, which are some tools that are needed to draw the duct. So as you can see, the default Modify name has been changed to Modify Place Duct. So this tab specifically is considered a contextual tab. Let's go check it out and look it up. To know the definition of the contextual word, it's best that we consider this one. So as you can see, it's an item that depends or relates to the circumstances that form the setting. So the tab was named Modify by default, but depending on the circumstances or the tools that I select, it will be renamed. So it only changed to Modify Place Duct. If I select the Pipe command, it will be changed to Modify Place Pipe. Or if I select the Wall command, it changes to Modify Place Wall. So don't forget that not only the name, but also the tools will be changed. So this tab changes according to which command I am selecting, and it will be giving me the needed tools. As we go further in the modeling process, we will become more familiar with this whole tab. We also have two new windows. Actually, let me drag this wider so you can see. The one that is on the left is called Properties, and as for the window that we see here on the right, this one is called Project Browser. If you open and use Revit for the first time, it is possible that you may see these two windows like this. You will see two windows above and below each other. These two windows are actually very practical for us, and we really need them, and they have to be available for us. Actually, I can change the placements and locations of these two windows. As you just saw, I will click on the name of this window, and while I'm holding the left click, I will drag it around, and then I will put it somewhere empty. So it just got out of that one. Now I'm gonna hold it again and drag it to the hard right. Once I see the blue box, I will release it. And as you can see, it will go to the right side of the entire software. So I can just select it and drag it around wherever I want. For example, I'm going to put it up here. As you can see, when the cursor goes to the edge of this screen, this box will appear and then I can release it. Or I can drag it and put it beside this Properties window. Or I could just put it above or below the other, as we saw in the first place. So depending on how wide your monitor screen is, and also the way that you are working on your project, you can change the place of these windows as you want. So I'm going to put the Project Browser window on the right and the Properties window on the left. Now, it is possible that someone may misplace this and doesn't stick it to the software. And they might think that it's right, but it's not. This one is actually just floating around here. So we might draw something and then it goes underneath this one and we won't see it. Actually, let me do it for you real quick. I'm going to draw a duct. We will talk about how to draw ducts later on. So it just went under this window. I can't see it. It seems as if nothing has been drawn under there. But if I place this window correctly and drag it to the hard right, and then release it once I see the blue box, and then we will see this whole full screen right here. It is also called the drawing area. So the drawing area becomes completely separate from the Project Browser window. So now what are these two windows? The Properties window actually shows some properties. So when no command or tool has been selected, I will only see the properties of the view that is open. For example, its scale or any other details related to that, and some other items as well. As soon as I select and activate a command, for example, in the Systems tab, I will select the duct. I will see the properties and settings related to the duct right here in this window. So depending on which command or tool I will select, all of the properties right here will also be changed. Here's a tip. When you select an object, you can change the properties and settings of it and control it from 3 different places. One of them is from the Modify tab, the other is the Options bar, and the other is from the Properties window. I'm going to press on the Escape key so that it would all be cancelled. The Project Browser window consists of many different items. Let me click on this minus so that the views will be closed. We have some different items right here in this window with which we will become more familiar as we go further. The most important one is the views. So I can choose which floor I want to view and see, whether I want to see the plans, or the ceiling plan itself, or the section, or the 3D or elevation. I can select and see all of these views from right here. So, depending on which template we have loaded, it is possible that these views would go into different groups and categories. Now, in this mechanical template which we have loaded, we have the main mechanical category, And we also have the main plumbing category. First, let me close them so you could see. Mechanical and plumbing. When we open the mechanical group, we can see the HVAC. And when we open the plumbing group, we will see plumbing. And as for the subgroups of all of these, we will have the views available. So in this template, the views that are the subgroups for the mechanical and HVAC, or actually these items, we can see the canals and the heating or cooling pipes. This is how they've been set up. And the items that are the subgroups for plumbing, we will see the drain, vent, and irrigation pipes. There it is. Starting from the first floor, we have two different plans, one of which is called 1 Mechanicals, and the other one is called 1 Plumbing. It's almost as if the different floors that I have become two different plans. We have set this up in a way which we can see the canals and the heating and cooling systems in a layer, and we've also set that in another layer we will be able to see the drains, vents, and the irrigation pipes. We will become more familiar with these settings as we go further. So to open each view, we have to double click on it. For example, I just double clicked on plumbing, and a tab has been added here. Tab 1 Mechanics, in which we can see the canal, and the other is 1 Plumbing, which you can't see the canal anymore. In fact, the canal has been drawn, but we've set it in a way which we can't see it in another layer. We did it so we could control the other things better. It is possible that you may see a whole different structure in other projects than the one that you see right here. In the future videos, we will learn all about how we can change the entire structure right here and have a more appropriate structure depending on the project in which we are working. Okay, so if we close these two windows, we have an X mark right here. Let's say I close this by accident. Now what should we do? If that ever happens, we have to go to the View tab and click on User Interface and go right here and check this Project Browser box. And then it will appear right here. So I will reopen that, and when I check the Properties box, I will see the window right here. We also have a bar below the drawing area, which is called View Control Bar. This is a bar for controlling the views. We have some other items like the scale, or the detail level, or the visual style. For example, do we want the style to be shaded or hidden line? And we also have some other items as well. All of them go into this bar, which again we will become familiar with it later. So we call this View Control Bar. We also have another bar at the lowest part of the software, which is called the Status Bar. On the left of it, we always have some explanations. When nothing has been selected, we see some general explanations, which, as you can see, is click to select something, and some other things. So if I select a tool or command, for example in the Systems tab, I will click on the Duct command, and then it will give me some explanations about the Duct command. So if I select a tool or command and then I don't know what to do with it, or for example if I have forgotten how to work with it, I could just read those explanations about it. In another part of this bar, which is called Work Sharing, or in other words we can say that our work sets go right here. It includes these settings related to a group work onto a single file. So another section which is called the Options is for all the different styles which we can have for a project. For example, if I want to go from point A to point B, I might have some different ways to go there. So I can choose which one of them I want over here. And also on the right of this bar, we have some tools by which we can control the selection of the different items. For example, I'm going to want the pinned items not to be selected. It really comes in handy in such cases. Or I might want the linked items not to be selected. So I can control and manage the selections by going to this part right here. Up here we have another bar which is called the Quick Access Toolbar. It's the toolbar for the quick access. We can put some of our frequently used tools up in this bar so we can use them faster. And just like all the other softwares, up here we also have the open and save options. Or for example, I might have to put lots of dimensions on the project. Or I might want to see it in 3D or see the section. I can easily and quickly access these options right here. The main location for each of these options exists in each of these tabs and ribbons. For example, these two 3D view and section, we can find them in the View tab. As you can see, there they are. I've also put them up here so that I have quicker and faster access to them. So I can add each item that I want up here to this toolbar. For example, I'm going to go to the Systems tab and then right-click on the Duct command and then click on Add to Quick Access Toolbar. Alright, so now the Duct command has been added to the toolbar, and if I click on these arrows right here, we will see the Duct tool. So depending on the size of my monitor screen, I might see all of the tools right here, including the Duct tool as well. Or we might see a couple of arrows right here which opens into a drawer and we can select the duct. The placement of this toolbar is also changeable. For example, as you can see, it's above the ribbons bar. So I can right-click on it and then click on Show Quick Access Toolbar below the ribbon. As in, this toolbar will be shown below this ribbon. So as we click on that, you will see it down here. Now, because nothing else is blocking the way, we can also see the Duct command. So I can right-click, and then I will click on Remove from Quick Access Toolbar so that the Duct command would be removed from here. And now it's gone. Another thing we can do is that we can change the order of all these commands. We can just go to Customize Quick Access Toolbar, and when we do that, a window will pop up, and I can select any item that I want, and click on these arrows to move them up or down. So let's just cancel this. Now, if I want to move this toolbar back up, I can just right-click, and then click here on Show Quick Access Toolbar above the ribbon, meaning that this toolbar will move up. And as you can see, it went back to where it was. You can do this with the option bars as well. As you can see, we have it below the ribbon right now. I can just right-click on it, and then click on Duck at bottom. As you can see, it just moved down. So let me select the Duct shortcut, and as you can see, it's down here. So we could just right-click again and click on Duck at top, and then it moves back. So it's possible that you may be working with different systems, and you might see that the location of this options bar differs. So remember, this is how you can change its place to where you want. Up here we have a section called Info Center, which will expand if I click on this drawer. And if I'm looking for something, I can search its name up here. For example, I'm going to type in pipe and then press enter. And when I do that, my browser will open, and from the Autodesk website, the software's help will open, and then I can see some explanations about the pipe. But remember, depending on my geographical location, this page may not load, and the browser might go back to Autodesk's first page, in which case I can just use a VPN. Okay, so now we've just learned about the different sections and parts of the software. and we also know what their names are. From now on, we can work more easily with the software and give addresses more easily and continue our drawing. Now, another good feature that Revit has is the thing about the tool types. So if I move my cursor onto each tool, a box will show up including some further explanations related to that tool. After a while, this box may expand more and give us some further explanations using images or videos about that tool. Actually, here's an example. I'm going to move the cursor onto pipe, and after about half a second, the box will expand, showing us more information. I can also see the image of the pipe. Now, for example, I'm going to go to the Modify tab and linger a little here on Trim Extend to Corner. And now, as you can see, it shows me a video on how this tool works. It just clicked on two walls and connected them. Also, when I first go on it, it says video is loading. So it is possible that just like this pipe tool that I just lingered on, and after a little bit it would show me a picture or something like a video. So as you can see, in the first line, it's showing me the name of this command or tool, as well as two letters in the parentheses. The initials for pipe is PI. These two letters are actually the shortcut for this command, meaning that if I want to use this pipe command, not only I can click on its option over here, but I can also go to my keyboard and press P and I. And after I did that, I neither pressed on enter nor the space. I did nothing. We only just entered the shortcut PI, or we can press DT for duct. You can see it just selected the duct command. Let's go to the Systems tab and over to the duct. And in the parentheses, it says DT. Now, some tools have shortcuts, some of them don't. So how can we see all of the shortcuts available? Does it have a chart? Or am I able to add a shortcut of my own? For example, let's say that maybe the T key of my keyboard is broken. And now I want to change the shortcut for the duct from DT to DD, for example. So to do that, we go to the View tab and User Interface, and then click on Keyboard Shortcuts. So can you see right here how this box just expanded? The shortcut for this Keyboard Shortcuts tool is actually KS, as in I can press on the K and S keys, which are the first letters of keyboard and shortcuts. So a window pops up listing all of the tools I have available. Now I can go here to Filter and choose which tools I want to see. Or we can just move up here and type in and search a command or tool. But first, look right here before we search anything. You can see Properties here. It's that Properties window from earlier. It's so important that it has given it 3 different shortcuts. It's PP, Control 1, and VP. Now let's cancel all of this for a second, and let's close the Properties window. Now I press VP from keyboard, and as you can see, it got back. Pressing VP, it opened again, and Control 1, and here it is. We also have another way to open this Properties window. We can just right-click and click on Properties. Now, if I right-click again, I can see that the Properties option has a check mark, as in it is shown right here. If I remove the check mark, it goes away. So let's check it again. So the Properties window is so important that it has 3 different shortcuts, and we can also open it by this right-click way. Alright, now let's go back to that window, View, User Interface, and Keyboard Shortcuts. Now in this search section, I'm going to type in duct, and then all of the commands which include the word duct will be shown right here. Alright, now the duct command itself. It's also showing me the path of it. It is Systems tab, HVAC panel. And down here we also have a box named Press New Keys. So I'm going to enter the letter D from the keyboard twice. And remember, it's not so necessary that I hold the Shift key to make them capital, because then this would happen. It would become Shift and D. So I'm going to press DD, and it would show me the letters in capital by default. Now, if I click on Assign, if the shortcut isn't already chosen for a different command, I would be able to see it right here. So now I'm going to click OK. And from now on, if I press the D key twice, the duct command would open for me. Or I could just press DT, there's no difference. Both of the shortcuts would work. Okay, let's do that again. We go to View, User Interface, and Keyboard Shortcuts. I'm gonna search Duct, and now I want to delete this shortcut. I'm gonna click on it, and then it gets selected, and then I click on Remove. So now what if this shortcut has already been used? For example, I know that this DF is for duct fitting, and I want to assign the same thing for duct as well. And then it shows me a message saying the shortcut DF is currently assigned to the command duct fitting, which means that it's already been assigned for the duct fitting. And below it gives me an explanation saying that I can have a repeated shortcut, and it shows me how I can do that. So if I click OK, this shortcut would be assigned to both of these tools, and if I had clicked on cancel, nothing would have happened. Now let's click OK, and once I press DF, still nothing would happen. So look down here at the status bar saying that the DF shortcut is also for duct fitting. And as you can see, they can change because I am currently pressing on the up and down arrow keys on keyboard. And as I do that, the command would switch from duct and duct fitting. Now it's on duct, so I'm going to press enter. As you can see, it shows me the duct command. So again, let's press DF, and then the duct fitting command would be selected. Okay, so you can have the same shortcut for different things, but it's best that you don't. So I'm going to go to View, User Interface, and Keyboard Shortcuts. I'm going to search Duct, and then this DF shortcut, I'm going to remove it. Alright, now that you have become familiar with the software space, we also want to talk about zooming, panning, and rotating. These actually will become so practical for us as we go further in drawing different objects. So as you can see right here, I have drawn a canal, which you will learn how to do that in the future episodes. Because right now, we don't want to talk about how we can do that, we just want to become familiar with zooming, panning, and rotating. Okay, now wherever I place my cursor, and then roll the scroll of the mouse upwards, the page will zoom in for me, revolving that center. Or if I roll the scroll downwards, it would zoom out. For example, if I place my cursor here on this duct fitting, and then roll my scroll upwards, as you can see, it would zoom in with my cursor as the center. Now, if I roll it downwards, it would zoom out again with that same center. Alright, now that I have zoomed in, I want to move the page around so that I can see some other things. So I'm going to click on the scroll pen and then drag it around as soon as I see this cross cursor. The page will move around for me so that I can see the other stuff. We did that by clicking the scroll. Again, we can zoom in and zoom out by rolling the scroll upwards and downwards, and we can pan or change the places of the screen by clicking and holding the scroll. Okay, now if I am in a 3D space, I can also practice rotating over there. So to go into 3D space, I can go to Quick Access Bar and then click on this house icon or default 3D view, which brings us to the 3D space. Now, if I hold the Shift key and click the scroll at the same time, it would show me two round arrows as the cursor. And as I'm holding the Shift key and the scroll from the mouse at the same time, I can rotate everything. Now, if I click on an item so it would be selected, and then do that rotating thing by holding the Shift key and clicking the scroll, with this selected item as the center, everything will rotate. As in, the center of my rotation would be this item right here, and all the other items will revolve around it. So I can rotate by the Shift key and the scroll key and see my model from different angles. This cube up here that we see, this one is called the view cube or the D cube. Now, if I click on this bottom edge right here and drag it around, that rotating thing would also happen for me. And even if I click on the different parts of this cube and drag it around, I can rotate the model to different angles as well. Actually, this item may not be too easy to control, but I can do the rotation using the Shift key and the scroll key more precisely. Now, if I want to go back to my default 3D view, I'm going to move the mouse to this view cube, and then this home icon will appear for me, and we click on it, and then we go back to our default 3D view.